This is Judah from Centrale, and welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show.
This week, Chris Froome's announced that he'll be attempting the Giro-Tour double. But is it a step too far?
We will also be discussing the route for the 2018 Giro d'Italia.
Some big implications from the forthcoming Lance Armstrong lawsuit.
And a special sneak peek for you of one of the world's most magnificently modified bikes.
One of them, mate. Is there a more magnificently modified bike?
No, you're right. No, there's no more magnificently modified bikes. This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that 60% of you say no to wearing headphones whilst you are riding a bike, which, while still the majority, is actually a lower percentage than we were expecting.
Yeah, and while we didn't exactly learn it this week, we were certainly reminded of the fact that you, the GCN viewers, really are an amazing bunch of people. You have raised enough money for World Bicycle Relief to buy 700 bikes already. Oh yeah, it's just brilliant.
It is truly amazing. So thank you to one and all who donated. And let's not forget, courtesy of some very generous donators at World Bicycle Relief, that amount is going to be doubled, and we're not finished just yet. All we need now is for Si and Matt to pick a day to ride across London wearing only Speedos.
We also learned that Chris Froome is going to be attempting a Grand Tour double next year of racing the Giro and the Tour. Now, bear in mind that he already won a Grand Tour double this year, having taken out the Tour and the Vuelta. Well, that sounds like a pretty tall order.
Yeah, double in fact.
Ciao everyone. I'm looking forward to seeing you all on the start line of the 2018 Giro d'Italia.
Can he do it then?
Well, to decide, perhaps we should look at some stats. So only 6 riders in the history of cycling have won all 3 Grand Tours in their career. So we have Anquetil, Merckx, Gimondi, Eno, and latterly Alberto Contador and Vincenzo Nibali. However, only 2 of them have held all 3 of the Grand Tour titles at the same point. So Merckx did the Tour and the Giro in '72, and in '73 he went on to win the Vuelta, which at the time was the first of the Grand Tours each year back in April.
Yeah, Bernardino did the same in '82 and '83, meaning that he also held all 3 Grand Tour titles at the same time.
I think Froome's announcement has caught a lot of cycling experts out, hasn't it? To be fair, it's caught us out here at GCN as well.
Even us.
Yeah, I think we were all expecting Froome's priority #1 to be victory #5 at the Tour de France next year, putting him up there with some of the cycling greats which we have just mentioned. But I think that puts Killian Kelly's stats on Twitter. It makes them even more interesting. So, there have been 4 previous riders who've won 4 Tours de France who've then gone on to try and win the Giro d'Italia the next year. And all 4 times, they've succeeded at winning the Giro.
So it's a good job that Lance Armstrong was scrubbed from the history books, otherwise he'd have ruined that stat, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that would have been a rubbish stat otherwise. Also, on top of that, on 3 of those occasions, that rider has then gone on to win the Tour after winning the Giro. So based on those stats, you would have to say that Froome is odds on to win the Giro in May and to go on to win the Tour next July. However, we all know it's not as simple as looking at historical stats to weigh up the odds.
No, aficionados are not going to like us for this, Dan. But it's fair to say, isn't it, that things are an awful lot tighter at the top nowadays than they used to be. And then also, we've got a much publicised rule change for next year, meaning that actual Grand Tour team sizes are down from 9 to just 8 riders. So that is going to make it considerably harder.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like much of a reduction, does it? But when you consider that you only need a small amount of bad luck to be down to a team size of 6, meaning just 5 riders to defend a race lead, even for a team with the strength and depth of Team Sky, that is going to make it a very tough task.
It is, Dan. But don't forget, they've got algorithms on their side. You see that thing about Robbie Ketchel?
No.
Okay, so this guy, Robbie Ketchel, is basically a genius data scientist, and he somehow found himself working in cycling, first at Team Slipstream and then at Team Sky. And at Sky, he wrote a program that effectively reduced the risk of riders from crashing.
No? Do you think it worked?
Well, not for Geraint Thomas. No offence, Geraint. But seriously, I don't know. Although you'd hope so, given that he's now working on programming autonomous cars, apparently.
Anyway, I think we should take a look at some recent examples of riders who've attempted to do something similar. And the first one that springs to mind is, of course, Nairo Quintana. Yeah. Last year, he was on the podium at the Tour, went on to win the Vuelta, and this year he attempted the Giro-Tour double And we all know how that went, don't we?
do.
He wasn't quite himself at the Giro, and then at the Tour de France, he was like somebody else altogether.
Yeah, Contador as well. He won a super tough Giro in 2015. And then it came up short at the Tour, although many people think that Team Astana actually made that Giro d'Italia super, super hard on purpose in order to soften Contador up for the following Tour de France. And you've got to think that's potentially a tactic that would work again.
You don't think they were just attempting to win the Giro?
Do you remember how hard that Giro was? It was bonkers.
Okay, I might believe you.
Yeah.
There's also the example of my former teammate, actually, Carl Sastre.
Oh, what team was that, Dan?
CSC, actually, back in 2008. That year he won the Tour de France and went on to finish on the podium, 3rd at the Vuelta a España. The next year at the Giro he finished 4th.
What team was it?
That was in the Svello Test.
Yeah,
but he was then promoted to 3rd and then 2nd due to doping disqualification ahead of him. Who knows, he might even win it one day.
Well, I tell you what, you need to get back in touch with Carlos, because he's going to owe you some serious prize money, mate. Difference between 4th and 1st.
That is very true.
Yeah.
I might not be in next week. Anyway, by his standards, he then bombed later on in 2009 at the Tour de France, finishing only 15th.
Only 15th. You know what, right? So there is no recent precedent for doing a triple, and there is no historical precedent for doing a quadruple. So you've got to think, haven't you, that if Chris Froome does this, in order to do this, he must be the greatest of all time.
GOAT.
So the question is he?
Well, if you want my opinion, Si,
yeah.
I think that given the 8-month gap between his win at the Vuelta and the start of the Giro d'Italia next May, if all his preparation goes smoothly, a win there, it's got to be a distinct possibility, hasn't it?
Yeah, you thought.
Winning the Tour off the back of that, though, I think that's going to be really very difficult indeed, even with the extra week between the Giro and the Tour next year.
Yeah, so not a GOAT then? No. Oh, also, we haven't even talked about his rivals, Dumoulin and Aru, both saying that they're interested in the Giro. Is there anyone going for the Tour?
Yes, Nairo Quintana. He's going to be absolutely loving the fact that Chris Froome's targeting the Giro next year. And there is the local favourite Romain Bardet as well.
Indeed.
It's going to be a very interesting Tour. Anyway, we would absolutely love your opinions on this particular subject. If you click just up here, there is a poll which you can say whether you think Chris Froome can do the quadruple or not. But we would love to hear your reasoning behind your decision as well. You can leave that in the comment section just down below.
You know what, Dan? Thinking about Bardet, a lot of talk about whether Chris Froome is being paid by Israel to attend the start of the Giro d'Italia.
Another one of your rumours.
Well, it's not a rumour yet, this is just a theory. Perhaps actually it's the French government that are paying Froome to go to the Giro in order to basically pave the way for Bardet.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Unless it's wrong.
It will be wrong, therefore you heard it at GCN.
It's time for the cycling shorts.
We've talked a lot about Chris Froome riding the Giro d'Italia in 2018, but we should also tell you that the Giro d'Italia announced its route for next year as well last week, and it looks, for all intents and purposes, to be a bit of an epic.
It does, yeah. So the start is in the, well, by now much talked about location of Israel. In fact, there will be 3 stages there, including the opening 10-kilometre time trial, before the race then heads over to Sicily, where there will be the first of 8 summit finishes. Yes, 8 summit finishes. It sounds more like a Vuelta, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds like one to watch to me rather than race. Highlights include stage 14, which finishes up the fearsome Zoncolan, a climb which I have raced, or at least ridden up before in my career. Then, you're going to love this one, Si. Stage 19 crosses the Colla della Finestre.
Possibly my favourite climb in the whole wide world. That is my favourite ever climb. I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the whole race, in fact. And I think it's going to be all the better for the host of big hitters that said they're going to be lining up at the start.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Now on to news of Lance Armstrong and his impending lawsuit of $100 million brought against him by the US government. It seems that the defence that his lawyers will be using could have very wide-reaching implications for professional cycle sport as a whole.
Yeah, so in a preliminary hearing, the judge has said that Armstrong and his legal team are going to be allowed to use the "everyone else was doing it" excuse, which presumably means that Armstrong is therefore going to have to prove that everyone else was doing it.
Yeah, which means that it's no longer just about Lance Armstrong and US Postal, it's going to be about the entire professional cycling place as a whole from that time, which is going to be very interesting times.
Yeah. Tell you what, it's a good job for Lance that my mum isn't on the jury, because she never accepted the "everyone else was doing it" excuse for any kind of wrongdoing.
I don't accept that with my kids either.
No, so maybe he's on shaky ground, despite being allowed to use it. Right, in some kind of related news, Davide Rebellin is still going. That's right, he's just signed another deal, this time for the 2018 season with a continental team. Now, you can say a lot of things about Davide Rebellin, but you do have to give him a little bit of credit for his motivation, at least. I mean, the guy is still racing and he's 46 years old. That's a long career as a pro.
Yeah, very long indeed.
Maybe his 2 years off helped.
Possibly, yeah. It's a strange state of affairs, though. I mean, don't mean the age, but the whole doping thing. Because Rebellin's basically the same era as Lance Armstrong, almost exactly the same age. He doped, he got caught, he served the ban, and now he's still going. Whilst on the other side of the pond, Lance Armstrong is fighting a $100 million lawsuit. It's
a bit weird, isn't it? Right, sticking with cheating for a moment, although cheating of a different kind, is a man in China has been caught and fined for changing the road markings. Okay, this is brilliant. So I saw it on the BBC. Basically, he was caught on CCTV with a can of white paint, actually painting a new arrow on the road surface because he said that he wanted to make his commute run smoother. Which,
we've all been there, haven't we? I mean, not actually repainting road signs, but at least dreaming up of reprogramming traffic lights or maybe turning race direction arrows a different direction only you know about it.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, this next company certainly have, okay, because they've just released a prototype, I don't know what you call it really, they called it a stigmergic adaptive responsive learning crossing, or the Starling crossing, and it's basically a road surface that can change the markings on it in real time depending on what, or who in fact, its smart sensors have detected is actually on it at that time.
So if you need a zebra crossing, for example, no worries. Or if a pedestrian is looking at their mobile phone and veers too close to the road, warning lights will come on to alert them.
Actually on the road surface?
Yeah, and there's even a blind spot warning for cars as well.
It's a brave new world.
It is.
Isn't it? Now, we get one or two comments from you guys about why we don't talk more about the super talent that is Tom Pidcock. And the reason is, quite frankly, that we don't actually have quite enough time to talk about under-23 racing as well as senior racing as well, despite how prodigious he is. But this week, we are definitely going to talk about him.
Yeah, we'll be talking about him for years to come, let's face it. Yeah. This week, though, we are mentioning him not because of his racing talents, but because he hit 112.3 kilometres per hour in training. It's not bad, is it?
It's not, is it? Maybe he's in the Tim Tuck.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, he is just one of those mega talented riders that can turn their hand to all disciplines.
Well, he is, yeah. Did you see the Instagram post he put up last week? Presumably from a few years ago. That's incredible for a world time trial champion, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? And whilst we're saluting a young talent, let's also salute Simon Andreasen, shall we? We've seen his silky skills before. This is his Christmas-themed video. Very festive.
And whilst we're at it, we should also dot our caps to young Ellen Noble. She is a US cross racer who's got a fine line in bunny hopping barriers.
Future generation of Peter Sagans right there. That's, of course, once Mathieu van der Poel stops destroying everyone and doing dirt jumps at the same time.
It's sickening, isn't it? That level of talent. Right, some more cool news now from Aqua Blue Sport, who are now hitting the news not just because they're going to be using SRAM-equipped one-by bikes with 3T next year, but now because they've got a beer sponsor.
That's right. I mean, technically they haven't hit the headlines yet, but...
no, they caught my attention.
Yeah. Anyway, this is Adam Blythe, GCN's head of fashion and also Aqua Blue team rider. He took to Instagram to thank them, and I'm not surprised, actually.
Yeah.
Probably the first beer sponsor in pro cycling for a while.
Yeah, for a little while. His very next Instagram post showed just how seriously he takes that role as GCN's head of fashion. Did you see this?
I did.
Hot or not, though? Is that hot or not? It's like a cycling referee.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. Maybe that's why we're not head of fashion, mate. We forgot that 2018 is the year of stripes.
Yeah.
So tech of the week this week is from French company Veliso, who've launched this Indiegogo project. The bike itself is called the Mirage ERAS, which stands for the Advanced Riding Assistance System. Now it claims to be the world's first comprehensive active safety system and will be able to protect you against an accident in any conditions and at any time. That's a big statement to make. Now, the Mirage ERAS has sensors to provide collision warnings, automatic tyre pressure management, and get this, automatic emergency braking. Wow. Now, this is all managed through a central control unit and will be algorithm based, provided through feedback from yourself and other users. Now, that's all very cool, the Mirage ERAS, and you can see why it'd be good for a rider who's a little bit nervous about going out to the open roads on a normal bike. But do you know what? It all pales into insignificance compared to this. This is the DeLorean. This is a very special pro bike that we're going to feature very soon on the channel. Keep your eyes peeled.
It's been a quieter week in the world of cyclocross this week, with many of the big favourites actually electing to swap the mild winter of Northern Europe for some extreme cold in Spain. Yeah, this is Sven Nace's photo taken on top of Puigmayor in Mallorca. It looks pretty horrible, doesn't it?
There's nothing worse than paying to travel to warmer climes and being greeted by something worse than you left, is there?
No.
Nevertheless, it was business as usual for the Van der Poels with yet another victory. Happily though, not Mathieu on this occasion, but rather his older brother David. He won the Zilvermeercross on Sunday, whilst Lucelles won the women's event.
Yeah, and over in the US, there was a welcome return to form for Jeremy Powers. Now, he's been suffering some heart-related health issues, but it looks like he's getting back into top shape because he took victory at the NBX Grand Prix of Cross.
And given that he, in our eyes at least, invented the wattage bazooka awards, it seems rather fitting to give it to him this week.
It does indeed. So here you go, Jeremy. Here is another wattage bazooka for your collection.
Quite an apt time, I think, Si, to remind people to nominate either themselves or a friend for a wattage bazooka using the hashtag which Si is about to display on various forms of social media. We also wanted to give a shout out this week to a certain Luka Mesic. He has recently at the weekend added the Slovenian national cyclocross title to the road and mountain bike national titles that he already owns. That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Isn't it just? A bit like a Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, but only in Slovenia.
Yeah, not quite as impressive as Rainbow Bands of World titles, but yeah, still up there.
Yeah, multi-talented. One of those super talents, in fact, Dan, that started out off-road. Yeah, he excepted actually won stuff. Right, anyway, the Track Cycling World Cup continued as well this weekend over in Milton in Canada. And amongst the many results there was a very popular local win for the Canadian women's team pursuit team. And also notable victories for the New Zealand men's team pursuit team. And then Katie Archibald as well continued her run of success, taking victory in the points race. And then partnering up with Eleanor Dickinson to take the Madison as well.
It is time now for Hack/Bodge of the week. Kicking off things this week is Brandon on Twitter. I made a 12-volt battery pack out of 8 rechargeable AA batteries and soldered together LED light strips in order to make my child trailer extremely visible at night.
That is a genuine hack. I like that very much, Dan.
Yeah.
I think that's very cool indeed.
That does make it stand out, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're really efficient, those LEDs as well. They go for ages. Genius. Right, okay, next up, this is another hack. What, is this almost a record start? 2 hacks on the trot? This one I really like. This is sent in by GP Tolbas. If you don't have a spare wheel for your trainer and you don't want to ruin your tyre, double wrap it in electrical tape. He says it works. He's been doing this for 6 months.
You'd have thought that would come off, wouldn't you?
Who would have thought that would work? But there we go.
Probably would do with our powers, Si. Right, next up, Courtney Field has managed to fashion a fat bike pannier rack out of wood.
I think that's a hack.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about
pannier
this.
racks of fat bikes about,
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, there's probably a bit of a, a niche business to be had out of fat bike pannier racks. But anyway, make one out of wood.
That's pretty neat, isn't it?
I think that's fair enough. Another fat bike
sticking with the
hack,
theme.
actually, yeah, it's obviously that time of year, isn't it? This one.
It's got to be
quite
a bodge,
cool.
isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the colour scheme works. Anyway, fat bike mudguards sent in by Rocket Rob 27. He wonders whether they've been made out of crash barriers, which would be excellent.
I guess you have to have them that wide if you've got tyres that wide. Otherwise, you're going to be clean down the centre of yourself and then have muddy sides.
Yeah, like the opposite of like a normal brown tyre stripe.
That probably would be slightly overkill for me, though. I think I'm narrower than the mudguard. Next up, from David Van Zeitveld, got a customised recumbent that he saw at the grocery store. That was rather comfortable, actually. I think that might be an Urkel chair.
You know what, right? So I was looking at it going, oh, that's a good idea. And then I looked again at that chair, and I don't know about you, mate, I find those chairs incredibly uncomfortable.
Do you?
I must have like a bony back with a protruding rib cage.
Very similar chair at home.
Oh, really?
Chairs around the dinner table, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well,
if I ever invite you for dinner, Si, I'd be very uncomfortable.
I'll turn you down then.
Right, if you'd like to send us some hacks or bodges for next week's show, you can do so again on social media using the hashtag GCNHack. It is time now to announce 5 very lucky winners of our recent giveaway. The next 5 people that Si is about to read out will each win a Park Tools bike cleaning set. Take it away, Si.
I'm really jealous, actually, of this. I can imagine the bike cleaning fun that they're about to have.
Yeah.
Amazing. Right, okay, you ready for this? Michael Chauvenech, Peter Crick, Yari Lonti, Wesley Davies, and Stuart Elding.
Yes.
Congratulations to the 5 of you.
Very well done to you all. We will be in touch with you to get your address, and that will be sent out ASAP.
Caption competition now, and as always, we will start with the results of last week. So this was the photo that we gave you. It was German national cyclocross champ Marcel Meissen hitting the deck unceremoniously. Dan, who was the winner?
Well, the winner of the GCN Camelback water bottle on this occasion is Thomas Toogood Smith. In that moment, Marcel Meissen realised why he should cut down his steerer tube. Does kind of look like that, doesn't it? Yeah, we like that, Thomas. Get in touch with us on Facebook and we will get that out to you as soon as we can. This week's photo comes from the Giro d'Italia presentation of last week. Si is going to get started.
Tom Dumoulin is not impressed that Chris Froome's welcome to the Giro message was filmed from his bathroom.
Does look a bit like he's in a bathroom, doesn't it?
It does a little
I
bit.
love the fact that he's having to film it himself.
Ciao, everyone.
Surely he
also
could have got
weird.
somebody to film him for him.
Marginal gains, mate. Team Sky just got it down to the wire.
Right, well, do your best in the comment section down below and we'll pick our best one or favourite this time next week.
Yeah, and don't worry, all of you will no doubt beat mine,
Yeah.
so you will not come last.
Many of you hopefully will have seen our Zwift video from last weekend where I followed the 3 male finalists as they battled it out for a place on Team Dimension Data's Continental squad in 2018. Well, Matt is currently with the 3 female finalists in Germany at Canyon SRAM's team get-together.
The conditions don't look quite as nice as the ones that you enjoyed. In
No,
South Korea.
they're the temperature's slightly different, aren't they? And
Yeah.
apparently, Matt's fractured a rib.
Yeah, poor old man.
Yeah.
Do you know how he did it?
I do, yeah.
Was it because he fell off on the ice on his mountain bike?
No, he managed miraculously to stay upright on the ice.
Was it because he couldn't unclip and then he just toppled over?
No, he managed that despite snow in the cleats as well. He actually did it by crashing a go-kart.
Go-kart?
Yeah, really, yeah.
Poor old man.
Get well soon, Matt.
Yeah.
Right, before we get on to what's on the channel this week, a couple of our favourite comments from last week. We have once again been reminded, Si, that winters here in Bath are very different to how they are in Canada, and more specifically, Ottawa. This is so I can never say that right. Apologies. Christopher Solar reminded us of that this week. See if you can carry on, Si, about sniggering.
Just thank your lucky stars that
Ottawa.
you didn't have
Ottawa.
to say the capital of Colombia. Anyway.
Bogota. Come on, carry on.
Right, okay. This one is a slightly strange but very, very sweet comment that was left under our winter commuting hacks video. And we thought we'd read it out because it's just lovely. This is Tristan143. I had my first kiss at that park that features near 1 minute 30. Mental. So there we go. That's the park that Tristan had his first kiss in.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long ago that was.
So it brought
Tristan?
back memories, good or bad, we do not know. Right, let's tell them what's on the channel this week. Yeah. So on Wednesday, we are going to be finding out what we, as roadies, can learn from triathletes.
It's a quick video,
nice
that one.
snappy video, that one, yeah.
Top 2.
Then on Thursday, we've got some more retro tech, again brought to you by Matt and John. And then on Friday, get ready for this, we are going to be asking the question, can you be a vegan pro cyclist? We're going to be tackling that head on.
Yeah. Whatever we do, just refrain from commenting under this video.
Yeah.
At least wait until Friday's video. But it's a really good one, actually.
I think we could break YouTube, though, potentially.
I loved filming that one. It was absolutely fantastic. Right, Saturday, we've got some top cookery hacks from our friendly chef and top cyclist, Hayden Groves. Then on Sunday, we've got a factory tour. It's the Factor factory tour, in fact, from over in Taiwan. That was great filming that one. And then on Monday, we are back with another maintenance video.
And then Tuesday, we're back here.
Yay!
Almost, I'm afraid, at the end of the show again for this week, but you know what that means. It's Extreme Corner time.
Oh yes, this week's video is an absolute belter. It's on the Continental Tires YouTube channel. And it's Danny McCaskill and Martin Soderstrom doing Germany in only the way that they can.
Oh my word.
silky skills on display there.
I bet Mathieu van der Poel could do that though.
I bet Tom Pidcock could do that.
I bet that Ellen Noble could do that.
Yeah, and
yeah,
Simon Andreasen could definitely do that as well. Yes,
you got it. Right, well, we should wrap up the show now, Si, shouldn't we? If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up just down below, and make sure you subscribe to GCN if you haven't done so.
Yeah, and if you want to, sorry mate, you want to watch another video right now, why not check out Dan's coverage of the Zwift final? That one is just down there.
Or we would encourage you to watch the video that's just down here with World Bicycle Relief. We find out how much difference a bike can make someone out in Zambia as we follow student Lizzie. And don't forget, there is still time to make your donation.